Monty, we are live.
Okay, it says excellent. Great. Well, good morning, Colin.
Good morning.
And and this is definitely working, so I think it's fine just to portray this, but it's exactly like you have it on your screen. And I can't tell the sounds right now, but I could check that. Should we just check the sound real quick?
Yeah. Ba, 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 da.
Let's check it.
Hmm.
All right. I don't see the live one.
I don't either.
So it is showing.
And yeah, this is the weird thing. So I show that it's broadcasting,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't see it either on here because I'm on the channel. Do 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 do. Do you remember
Yes.
this happened last time and just somehow miraculously it just
Oh, it says it's live, that it's if I go into my YouTube studio and I go to the live button, it says it's definitely live.
okay.
So let's see what happens. Yeah, it just says live. I wonder if you can click on it somehow. Well, we could just roll with it.
We
I don't
could.
know what that's very unusual. It's showing that it's working on the YouTube studio, but on the when you just go to the channel itself, it doesn't appear. So um, let's
Is
just
is it a setting in live in studio? Mm, 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 mm.
hmm, welcome to live chat. Let's go back to the channel. Oh man, these things are so simple, yet you get somebody like myself in charge, and then it's like,
Well, it really it should just work, you know? Why didn't
oh,
YouTube think of that?
you know what the problem is? It is a setting. It's called public
Oh,
or
okay.
private.
So that's really good though, because then you can check it on your end, make sure sound is happening and everything, and
Yeah,
then we can hit it to public. So what I would say is like I stop,
yeah,
so there's not like this bit 3 minutes of us trying to being old, and then
yeah.
so it looks good though.
Well, let me see if I can view in live control room. God, I
Okay.
got it on my YouTube studio. I just don't know why. Oh, there it is. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't see it. I hear you though. Are you hearing you at least?
I'm in my YouTube studio and I can hear both of us. And so the frame is exactly like you have it. Our pictures are real wide. They're not like in Google Meet where we're where we're more like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It's more landscape view.
Yep, that's the way it's supposed to be.
And then um, we both have sound. Both sounds are sounding good. The video quality looks good. Everything looks
Perfect.
so okay. So here was the issue. I mean, there's just the microphone thing, the sound thing, the mute button on the YouTube studio I needed to check. And then on my other part of my YouTube studio, you can select private or public.
Okay.
And I had turned the other one off and put it on private, the one that we were joking around about last week. And it just was like, man, just in case we need to put some voiceover on that sometime and have a good laugh, I better
Yeah.
just so I think that automatically just put it on private, so it's not, so it wasn't streaming. So
Okay.
well, on let's see. So I think we can just do the live. We can do the public part, and everything seems good.
All right.
Okay, public. All right, Colin, we are live. We can check it real quick if you want. Um, should we just check real quick and see if it's
Yeah, you're
if,
live.
okay?
Perfect. Okay, I checked.
Right. Well, good morning, Colin.
Good morning. Welcome to everybody to our channel.
Yeah, the Colin and Monte show. Colin, what's been on your mind this week,
I
if any?
this week is just mainly just get through the work week because I knew I had a 3-day weekend coming.
Yeah.
So I just struggled through, got through. But what about you?
Yeah, I feel like in some ways I feel like I'm running a million miles an hour. I feel like I'm off to the races. Like even though I might have a have some downtime on the weekend, it's just, and I don't it just feels like things, like life is just moving very, very fast. That's that's unusual for me because I have uh previously life was pretty pretty even, pretty slow. You know, I could kind of control that sort of thing, but now it's just like life went off to the races.
Was it expected? Did you know this was coming?
uh no, but I do a lot of reading about Bazi, the Chinese astrology,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, Chinese astrology is really amazing. And you know, being they call it a horse year. We're in the year of the horse. I was reading like how would that affect your life in the year of the horse? It's not the same for everybody, but for mine there was definitely the anticipation of kind of like, hold on, hold on, because things are gonna move quickly. Um, so it's kind of like give warning about like things that you should try to do, but things that you should not try to do in the year of the fire horse. So in some ways, you know, you can read stuff like that and do research on that and get a little bit prepared, but it doesn't fully prepare you for how how life really is. But it is helpful. So
So
a
what
little
kind
bit
of
of,
things is it personal or can you say like what type of things uh where does it say to avoid or to
yeah, like in a in a fire, like given my Baza, um, like I'm an earth person. I was born in the like the day, month, and year where there might be a lot of elements of earth and water, for example. And so in a fire horse year, you know, I gotta protect myself from too much fire. And fire could mean um, too much sun, but more so it can mean like too much, like um, too much of the fire element and metal element aren't good for me in this year. And that can be, um, you know, too much city without water and without wooded areas, that kind of thing, to kind of bring some balance. Um, uh, heavy traffic is fire. Uh, like that kind of thing is it can be too much fire, and if you don't balance it with being around certain natural elements like water and natural areas or trees and forests, that sort of thing, then it can make you feel super exhausted and tired. And I've definitely felt that in the last couple of weeks because I went from a water and wooded mountain area to a very busy, more more metal environment. So every day I have uh, to prevent burnout and exhaustion, which I've already been feeling. Um, I have to go sit by the water somewhere, go for a walk somewhere like wooded area, and that definitely, I've already definitely noticed that that helps.
Do you
So
have areas like that in your city?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I'm right by Duke Forest, Duke University, and there's a trail system right through there and gardens, and then you know we go cruise around all over the place to check out areas. So there's frequent frequent checking out of like lakes and go hiking on some trails, like city trails, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's kind of nice. I mean, there's some cool lakes around too. So and some nice parks and that sort of thing. So it doesn't have to be so in the middle of nowhere like in Idaho. So, but yeah, I think it's interesting because you know, I would say back in January, February, as we're transitioning from, I guess it was the year of the snake into the year of the fire horse. I could definitely feel feel some big transitions coming, and then reading about it and kind of trying to get prepared. Um, I think it's helpful to understand that, but you don't really, it doesn't really sink in until you're right in the thick of it. But
exactly.
you look back at it and it's like, oh man, they were exactly right. How could they be so right? How could these people from, 5,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago developing this stuff? How do they know this stuff? It's incredible. One of those ancient sciences that
Yeah,
I think we don't put a lot of stock in these days. Most people don't anyway, but it's helpful in a lot of ways, and it's really spot on in certain areas.
I think what like I think what we get exposed to for the horoscope type things or astrology is kind of watered down a lot of
Mhm.
times, and so it's really easy to you know kind of see it as kind of not what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it because I don't really know a lot, but um, so when I was in a much bigger city with a lot more concrete and metal, I had to really work to find nature. And
Mhm.
so one of the things I just had this tree in my backyard, and I would sit in the same place, and I would just and it's so this is really hard to explain, but um really it was just be present and just look at the tree, and
Mhm.
there's so much wisdom in the tree, uh just as far as just how trees grow, and then kind of on a large scale year to year, but then just seeing the same tree go through this process of change from spring to winter, back to spring and everything. But and then also once you sit there long enough, you start to see how the sky changes too. If so it would this and then why I'm talking about this is actually, and I saw a video or something about how it's an ancient, like like Norwegian or um, like I don't think it's Celtic. The Nords were different, but anyway, it's like an ancient technique of just sitting in the same place and observing the same thing every day and at the
Mm,
same time, and it really can help to center you and just to be part of the natural progression of life. And so um just by chance I think I just did that out of necessity, you
mhm,
know, and it was so cool because one of I just realized how important this one single tree was to the bugs and birds and squirrels. It was it was this habitat,
mhm,
for from spring to winter, pretty much the beginning of winter. And one of the cool things is I saw this robin was raising its babies, and so this was last year, and it went from like seeing the mother robin like feeding the baby every day,
mhm.
and then by late summer all of a sudden one day the mother robin was just sitting there like kind of I can't remember, for some reason I think it had food in its mouth like a worm or something, and it was just squawking and trying to call out, and its baby had I swear like I never saw the baby again. The baby had like moved on, hopefully
Yeah,
living. I didn't like at the time I had this. I didn't, like the baby had like grown out of the
yeah,
nest, and that was just such a cool just to see that whole process.
yeah.
So I think it's really because connecting to nature in these times, you said, is so important. So, but sometimes when you're in a larger city, just getting to those places or finding the
Mhm,
time to get to a trail or just sit by the river is maybe not feasible. And so there are ways to find that. Um,
yeah,
um, so
yeah. Go
anyway,
sit, go sit at the pool under the umbrella.
something if you just yeah, it's something about just sitting and just observing,
Mhm.
you know, and
I just was talking about this with the missus yesterday, I think, and you know, being in being in Shenzhen, uh, like every morning with a cup of coffee, even though we're in the middle of a enormous city,
how many
uh,
people just because
about 20 million. I think
that's amazing.
the greater Shenzhen area is like 15, 20 million, and then Guangzhou is like probably the same number. So it's like that whole region is probably easy 30, 30 to 40 million people, pretty big. And then Hong Kong is right next door too. So that's that's some more. Uh, but you're in the middle of a mega city, and um, one of the things I love doing, and it felt so good, was I make my cowboy coffee in the morning. I go sit by the window, and you're up on floor 42, and you look out like through the neighborhood, and the neighborhood isn't like the neighborhood in you know any American city. It's a neighborhood where it's like all these buildings that are 50 or so floors high, and you can look out down through these towering buildings and into the courtyards. Like every kind of apartment complex has a, imagine these big skyscraper buildings, and a collection of them, like maybe 8 or 10 is one community, but in the middle they have all these gardens and things like that. Um, and it just was so cool just to sit there by the window, drink coffee, and look out through the city, like through those skyscraper areas, through the neighborhoods. I just was
Yeah.
fascinated because I've mostly been for a very long time, say last 15, at least the last 15 to 20 years, I've lived in very kind of rural mountain areas. I've lived in the mountains, like in a cabin or in the house on the island, um, and it's hardly any people around. And then you go somewhere and you sink into an area where you really feel like, oh my God, like there's a whole nother side of this world that I've kind of been missing and that I'm fascinated by, you know. In some in some ways, people might think it's a rough adjustment to be coming from the like a really rural mountain kind of region to a mega city. But I over time I found a lot of I just was so fascinated by it and was fascinated by how industrious some societies are and how it's just like what they're building and what they've created is kind of an amazing thing. Just the human ability to create cool things. It's so different than maybe our culture. I think that's one of the things that really fascinated me about it. So sit at the window with my coffee and just kind of be in awe about something that's pretty new to me. So I really liked it.
Yeah. I wonder how how different the city planning is. Just were the roads, was it a grid system or was it more like uh
Mm.
DC where it's kind of circular and center and comes out or
You know, I wouldn't say like Salt Lake City, Utah is a very good example of a grid system. It's just like square by square by square. And even Sioux City, Iowa is a good
yeah.
example, like a lot of grid. You go look at the gravel roads in Iowa, and I think they're laid out on grids. Um, but there might be a few grid type areas, but it's not necessarily a grid system. Because they're definitely like rounded roads and curved roads and that sort of thing. So, um, you could go from an apartment where we were at and, take the elevator down, go outside, go up the block and walk on a road that kind of curves around the hillside on the base of the hillside. And then within 10 minutes, you're at some park that's got a lake and forest and flowers and all this kind of stuff. And you could kind of go walk in a natural area for an hour or so. So that was really cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the planning would be like there, but it's like what would be a master plan? Because sometimes a city or a county will have a master plan,
Yeah.
and whether they follow it or not, I don't know. But um, I don't know what that would be like there. I've never thought
Or
about.
so in like in places in Europe too, they had like these I'm gonna say plaza, what they call playas or something. But
Mhm.
so you just have these like kind of community uh centers where you'd have it would be kind of shops around this, say a fountain or something,
Mhm.
and they would be kind of mixed around too. So kind
Yeah.
of these little neighborhood, was it something like that? Did you feel like they were partitioned into neighborhoods, and or was it just
Yeah, a
different?
little bit. They definitely have districts. So it'd be
Okay.
like, here's a district of the city. Um, but I just don't know about the planning side of it.
Yeah.
I just
And
I think it's more like, if there's an opportunity to develop, uh, is able to buy a piece of land and develop a new community, new apartments or some shopping center or something like that, or mall area that they're gonna do it. But they definitely have like these watersheds, and they definitely have important parks and historical sites that are embedded within the the communities. They definitely integrate like places for people to to walk. Like the sidewalks there are awesome. Like here, where I'm at right now, there's few and far between that you'll find a
Yeah.
sidewalk. People don't go out and walk very often. They have a few trails, but in general, there's not sidewalks. It's not a community that's like all seeking to go out for a morning walk and an evening walk because there's nowhere to. What are you going to do? Walk in the street? Uh, uh, but there, the sidewalks are very wide. There's a lot of people walking, uh, walk to work or walk here, walk there, go out for evening strolls. So it's just very different than here. The sidewalk isn't, like in Sioux City, for example, a sidewalk would be like at most maybe a meter wide. There, uh, at least where we lived, a sidewalk could be like 5 to 20 meters wide. Like some areas would just be very wide because it gives people a place to go, um, gather and hang out and play hacky sack kind of things, and um, do tai chi and all these kind of things. So people would have these big gathering, give space for people to have these gatherings and go play and that sort of thing. So, yeah, very very interesting, pretty different than here.
Yeah. A lot of that is planning, is like when you develop an area, there could be like city codes here that say you have to have the sidewalks this wide, and
Mhm.
so much, and then the roads, the lane width and all that. And I think about even with Ireland where, you know, in those areas that aren't like that were developed thousands of years ago, you have these walls, and so there's nowhere for the road to even go.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's anyway. I just need to visit and go check
Well,
it out.
let's go visit sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
Uh,
Okay,
well,
so do you mind, uh another thing I was wondering about is what got you into um astrology, and how where do you go to study it? Like, or do you have books, or is it online, or
I I didn't really. I think I learned about Chinese astrology just like because I was did a lot of reading and a lot of research on certain things. Uh, so I knew about it like in my mind. I was like aware of it, but I didn't know anything about it really. I remember maybe the first exposure I had to it like in person and kind of a real exposure that actually meant something to me was the missus and I were in a little town called Wulingyuan in right next to Zhangjiajie National Park. And you'd probably recognize Zhangjiajie National Park as like the backdrop for the Avatar movie. Like all that spectacular scenery, that's actually from Zhangjiajie National Park. And
okay.
so they actually went there. They actually went there and took video and then helped to create the backdrops for that movie set. But when we were in that little town of Wulingyang, right at the entrance of the park, we just happened to be walking around one evening, and was going around to these different shops and this sort of thing, and we just, for whatever reason, we went into some shop, and there's a older fella in there, and he's reading something, and the missus asked him what he's reading, and he was reading Chinese astrology. And they got to talking, and she asked if he could look up or tell something about me. So I looked up my birthday and timing of my birth and this sort of thing, and it was like something in the book he could look up the dates and the timing and approximate location, these kind of things. And he he said something like about my after he looked it up, he cross-referenced it somewhere in the book, and he started telling us like about my life. And the missus is translating this from Chinese to English. And what the guy was describing about my life, like up until that point, like it's nothing like really specific. Like I went to get a PhD and whatever. It was more like the broad strokes of life. Like how was life between uh, your childhood to through your teenage years, and then from your teenage years through your 20s, and then through into your 30s, these kind of things. And it was really spot on. It just really hit me like how accurate it felt. And then he said, but life is going to change. When he turns 40, he will live by the water. And when he lives by the water, certain things are going to happen. This person needs to live by the water in their 40s. And guess what? Uh, I went from living on Orcas Island, surrounded by water. I wasn't right at the water, which made a difference. But I definitely started feeling a really strong pull of like, I want to leave the mountaintop and I want to go live somewhere like right down by the water. I'd rather have a kayak and get in my kayak every day and go paddle. Um, and then it turns out that I leave, uh, I move off the island and I go buy a place that's right on the water. And every day I go sit right by the water with my cup of cowboy coffee. And life definitely changed. Like it wasn't off to the races, but there were some really big changes that happened. And I constantly think about that guy, like not constantly, but like what he offered at that time and what his interpretation of my life and what that was going to look like. It made such a big impact. And what he had said and what my life turned out to be like in the following years was just like my life was written in that book, and it
Yeah.
just fascinated me. Western astrology is different. Like I feel like when you read like a horoscope or something like that, it just lands different. It lands very, very different. And I think part of it is because it's more disconnected from how my life feels. Like because I'm an earth person, I'm more connected to the earth. I'm more connected to like living by the water. So if this person says live by the water and the water element will help, this, that, and the other thing, it made a big impact on me. And then to see my life kind of unfold that way, oh, it was incredible. Um, so I think that was the first thing that really made a big impact on me about it. And it was my first real exposure to it in a real personal way. Um, and since then, it's just like, you can get on you can get on DeepSeek or something like that and punch in your birth details, and it'll give you tell you all about your bata. So I definitely take advantage of that because it's awesome. It's really enlightening. So
How did you find your place in Idaho? Do you remember?
I do. I was kind of living in a tent for a little while after Orcas Island, and I felt super super free. And I lived up I spent like a week in North Cascades National Park. I went to the Teton Wilderness and spent a couple of weeks up way up high at 10,000 feet elevation. And then I I ended up on a river trip in Idaho with some of the tribes, and I had been kind of looking around to find a place to buy, and I was thinking, man, I need to get back to Washington and move back to Washington. And then, but I started looking for homes in Idaho that would be closer to my clients and closer to some friends I had there. And all these homes that I was looking at, it's just like, man, it's just not the right fit. There's something wrong about them. And then I was on a river trip. I get off the river trip and I'm like, oh my God, I had such a great time. And I'm like, man, I need to live around here somewhere. Like houses are few and far between. We're right on the edge of the Frank Church Wilderness. And it's like, uh, you're probably not going to find too many houses, but I ended up finding a few homes that were for sale close by, and went and looked at one, and then I'm just like, I'm ready to pull the trigger, ready to
Nice.
just do this. So it was really the river trip that I went on, like a 6-day river trip that set me to that location. Otherwise, I don't know that I would have looked in that area.
Yeah, how do you even, yeah, know where to go? The
Yeah,
wilderness is so big out here, you know?
yeah, yeah. But that was a good spot, like a little a little cabin in the mountains right on a little river. Uh, Beautiful. I mean, at the time that I bought that place, I had no idea. I mean, I knew the general area okay, but I had no idea of what that was going to be like. I didn't know what my neighbors were going to be like. I didn't know what the place really had to offer. But once I moved in, it's just like, oh my God, there's a single track trail that goes up to the Continental Divide. I can hike it, I can mountain bike it, I can go ski. Uh, just being out in nature was like right there outside your back door.
That's
And
amazing.
I remember probably the first month I was there, it snowed. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, like eyes pegged. It's like 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning. And my heart was beating super fast. And I'm like, what is going on? Um, and it's like, God, why am I awake like that? And I just tried to settle down. It was like a fight or flight kind of thing, reaction or something. It's so weird to wake up that way. Uh, but I got up, I went back to sleep eventually, and I got up in the morning and went outside. There's snow on the ground, and there were mountain lion tracks just outside my bedroom window. And so my head was like this close, like, 10 inches away from the outside of the house. And the mountain lion tracks were right next to the side of the house and right next to the window.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like literally like 1 foot away from to where the mountain lion was walking around the house. But yeah, kind of a crazy place in terms of like you don't really know what's in store. You just get it and you move in. And it's really wild. There's wolves around, there's mountain lions around. I saw a lot of black bears. Um, Osprey would dive down in the stream that goes through my property, um, pick up a fish and fly off. Um, yeah, it was really, really cool. And then
That's amazing.
I used to mountain bike a lot. And so I had access to all kinds of roads and trails and everything. And for the first couple of years I was there, that was epic. It was the most difficult mountain biking I've ever done in my life because the
No way.
climbing is like intense. Like it's all climbing. It's either up or down. And so um, I did a lot of rides and a lot of really long rides that required you to like, climb over trees that fell over the trail or like try to crawl under the trees and go through stinging nettle patches and everything. So it's like you get really beat up. You need to just be exhausted by the time you got back. But you think, wow, that was pretty awesome. But maybe I won't do that again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's
yeah, so getting to that spot was really interesting. And then it turns out that your neighbors are just like some of the best people you've ever met. It's like, how did I land in this spot? Like the people in that area are awesome. I couldn't believe it. I felt super, super fortunate.
that's
So
wonderful.
yeah, being in that spot was really was really good for me for a while. But I feel
So
like my life is, in some ways, I feel like my life, like I desire stability and whatever, but it seems like it doesn't work out that way. It's like feeling stable, whatever, and then next thing you know, it's kind of like, oh, we're done. We're done here. We're gonna do something different. And I look at other people's lives sometimes, and I'm like, man, other people, it's just like their life is just set. They get a certain kind of job, they go to school, they get a certain kind of job, they're in the same career their entire life. They live about in the same area most of their life. I got family members like that. It's just like they're very, very stable. Um, I am definitely not that way. Life is life goes from one thing to the other to the other. And yeah, I sometimes wonder about that, you know. Maybe the things that you're lacking in life you kind of wish you had, but and then you go have it and you go experience it and you realize, well, maybe that's not that important. I thought it was important, but it's just maybe not the rhythm of my life.
yeah, I think it's always for some reason yesterday, probably because my hair, I need to cut my hair. And I just think that it's funny because uh it's so random, but I think like people with straight hair want curly hair. People with curly hair want straight hair. Um, people with red hair want brown hair or black hair, and people with black hair want blonde hair. It's
Yeah,
so funny how, yeah, and it's kind of like what you're saying. You look and you see someone may even seem really stable,
yeah,
like they're in the same place and all this, and not you don't see the movement that their life is going through, and it may be they might have so much turmoil that you have no idea, you know.
yeah,
But on the
yeah,
outside, it seems like, oh well, they're doing, because I look at your life and I'm just like, oh man, he's just you know traveled around, living in nature, just having your own business, and it's really easy to think like, oh, I just wish I had that life, but then what the nice part about that is that I don't have to think about um, all the work it takes for you to do that.
and all
You
the
know what I
all this
mean?
and all the stress
And all
and
the stress of, yeah, of like, in so yeah. Anyway, uh, I think that's easy to do with other people, and part of the I I just want to appreciate the life I have.
and I think that's a good point. And I think the Bazi that we were talking about, the Chinese astrology has helped me with that because I definitely can have a tendency to like, oh man, I feel like I'm lacking something in my life. Like I maybe need that stability. Like, um, but if you're the person that is just naturally, that's not your thing, and that's not what the universe has in store with you. It's better to try to figure out how to get in line with what the universe really has in store for you rather than fighting against it. And I think for a long time until um, and this is kind of recent for me, but until I understood that more on that kind of level, I just I just didn't understand why why I didn't have certain things in my life. Like, why can't I get to a point where I have this and this and this? Like all my friends and family have this kind of stability, but I'm I'm like out there with the wind. I'm going to be out in nature and I'm going to be traveling the world. And then next thing I know, I'm just like, oh man, I'm exhausted. I need some stability. But it turns out maybe I wasn't born that way. Maybe that's just not what's in store for me in this life. And But reading reading and understanding my bhatsa is really helpful that way, because there are elements like I definitely am the kind of person that needs some stability, but it's not the stability that we might always think. It's not always like I need a house in one place for my entire life. It's just that's not what the stability means. It's stability in other facets of life. Um, like with the missus, for example, that kind of stability, having like the home for me isn't necessarily the physical location. It's who my friends are and my connectedness to family and friends and to the wife, that sort of thing. That's what my stability is. I can move around. I'm so easy to adapt to different places. Like I can put a backpack together, uh, cross the world 10,000 miles, move in, and on day one I feel at home.
That's
You know,
awesome.
it doesn't take much for me. Uh, but my stability, like I definitely need uh, my friend group, my family group, and kind of a close network there, and that makes me feel very stable. The other stuff, like where I actually live, is sometimes I think it's important, and then I find out it's just a place.
Yeah. How do you meet people when you go to new places?
Oh, I don't. No, I'm a total misfit in that way. When we lived in Bellevue about a year ago, we were there for about 3 months. Uh, I went to a couple of meetup groups, like some entrepreneur meetup groups, and that was super cool. But I didn't develop friendships and that sort of thing. But I did go to a couple of events and met some cool people, and then went and had coffee with with a few folks here and there. Um, but yeah, I'm not the kind of person that's like outgoing that way. Other people can walk into a new city and make friends, just like couple days suddenly they got friends. I'm definitely not that way.
I'm not either. I don't, it's hard for me to yeah, to go out on a limb like that.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like I think some people maybe grow up and that's just like they're more, is the word vicarious or not vicarious, but just they're more outgoing socially. And some people just are not. I remember growing up, uh, like I went out to the woods a lot, went hiking and exploring around, and go ride my bike down to Browns Lake and Snyder's Bend. And um, what else did I mean, we went to the we went to the cabin in the Luss Hills, and
South
uh,
Ravine Park.
yeah, build some bike trails. And
Yeah.
so remember we went to the there was a place called the Nun Hills as well, like the Nun area, that
Oh, is
across from Ravine Park, and there were some woods in there that there were some trails.
I
Um,
never went up there, but I know
oh
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, I think I was more social like in grade school and middle school, way more social. In high school, I had like me, you, and Carl.
Yeah.
And then later in high school, I think I was kind of flying solo for especially my last year of high school, just totally solo. So I think you had done something different,
I
and
yeah, cuz I was out by cuz you graduated in 96.
mhm,
Yeah, I got out in 95. I just couldn't take it anymore.
yeah,
I loved learning, but the high school environment was not good for me.
yeah,
Just I was I didn't like my teachers and um yeah, needed to do something different.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because it's, some people are wired to be very social and um, some people are not. I know that when I used to drink a lot and party a little bit, uh, I was way more social.
It helped me. That's like, I'm definitely glad I don't drink anymore, but the experiences I got to just, be with people, that was a really a nice benefit to it. So I really kind of cherish those times. But
Yeah.
but the idea of, yeah, going into a really busy place
Hmm.
and just talk to random people, I'm kind of, unfortunately, I'm not really excited about that.
Going going into a big crowd of people, like I was in something like that the other weekend in downtown in one of the cities around here. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of people. And there's a lot of there's some music going on. I kind of in some ways I'd like to listen to the music, but it's way too loud. And I think for a person that's coming from a really quiet environment, um, having like some really jarring noises, like muffler noises, like there's a thing with Harleys and uh, certain mufflers people put on their cars to be super loud, and it's just like, oh my god, that hurts so bad. Uh, like I better go indoors and escape the sound. But uh, this kind of thing in downtown it was cool on one hand because it's a bunch of artists like showing their art and what they create, and I love seeing people's inventiveness and their creativity. Um, but on the other hand, there's like the music was, even though I love music and I want to hear music, something new, something different, too loud. I was like, I can't do it, man. That hurts.
That
Um,
that's the problem with the outdoor, is that um, you don't really have the acoustics of a building, and so the cure for that is just crank it up.
yeah.
So it can.
And then if you if you happen to walk right by it, it's like
Oh,
run.
oh man, though when I was younger, I would go to these like dance parties, and I would just, well, yeah, you went to some, and I would just literally just stand by the speaker, and just because I
Yeah,
love the feeling of just the bass going through. And yeah, now my hearing's all fucked up, but um that's all right. But yeah, going from, it's the noise, the constant noise of a city, if you're not used to it, is just so offensive,
yeah,
you know? And it's that's another good reason to get out into nature, is just kind of separate from that. Cuz it's
yeah,
just in your, so you're, I think that the body just nullifies or adapts to it, and so you end up losing some sense too if you
yeah,
spend so much time in it. And um which is, thankfully, you do, because that's how you survive it.
yeah.
But
And it's interesting, like different places in the world. Like I feel like there's some areas like in a city they have a lot of there's noise. There's just background noise of a city, like the hum of a city.
yep.
But I feel like where I've been kind of recently, or even maybe just I don't know if it's US cities or just the culture of people, but it's more like there's there's certain sounds. You can have a little bit of a hum of a city, but there's definitely got to be some very loud interruption, like somebody with the special muffler and the hot rod going through town and just very loud. And it's jarring. It's just a different experience having like some background city noise versus a very high decibel sound coming into your ears. Uh, Other places I've been around the world, I don't think I've not seen that. I'm not seeing the special mufflers and
Yeah.
the really loud motorbikes and that sort of thing. It's like people can ride a million motorbikes in Bangkok, Thailand, or in Jakarta, Indonesia. They're not they're not loud, just like bzzz, sound of a quiet hum.
But okay, have you been to Delhi?
No,
Fucking
no,
Delhi's nuts, man. But that's mostly like people, everybody is just honking their horn.
yeah,
Everybody. And it's
yeah,
like there's no no turn signals, there's just horn honking. And somehow they've adapted to like they're speaking in horns. And I don't know that language. It all just sounds really loud and irritating. it's one of the wildest things. Like
uh,
I don't know if that's the same in other cities, but that was I remember because flew into Delhi, spent a couple days there, and then went up to Rajasthan, and then came back to that city, and it was like the trip to the airport. I was just like, if I never hear another horn, I'll be
yeah,
happy. But the weird thing is when we first got there, I adapted to it, you know. But
yeah,
Rajasthan is just we were in a national forest, and so it was in smaller towns and stuff, so it just wasn't um we got away from it, but I do
yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
And I think too with the motorcycles, just as I ride, and there is something, motorcycles aren't really seen very well, so there
Hmm.
is something nice about having a sound,
Yeah,
because people look, they're like, oh, okay. But i don't
yeah.
i don't have like I don't have a Harley, uh but yeah, sometimes that is just like that. Oh, that's part of, some people love that too.
Hmm.
But the yeah, the truck muffler, I never understood that. Or putting on those like glass packs. Do you remember that when we were in high school? I don't know if people still do that anymore.
I think there's something like that because there was some hot rods going around last weekend that just like I hear. In fact, I can hear them every once in a while from where I'm at right now. It's like wow, uh, some special muffler sounds going on
Yeah,
there.
I freaking love
But
it. I I kind of think though, generally the vehicles are quieter, because um last time I was in Chicago, I was really surprised at um it just didn't seem as loud as like when I was younger and I'd go there.
oh
So a lot of car, I wonder if like especially in China, like their engineering has just explode, it's incredible right now from what I've heard. And
well,
I wonder if just like the new vehicles, they're
they're
just, well, yeah, a ton of electric, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Like half of the cars on the road now are electric. So
they don't make any sound.
yeah, the difference would be like the big trucks, like stuff that's carrying cargo or something like that. I think those are still like gas or diesel. But a lot of just your regular sedan or something that people are driving, or you go get a like an Uber driver to take you to some other part of the city. Uh, Almost, I mean, there's so many electric cars out there and scooters as well. It used to be people don't ride the little motorbikes anymore, but then they started having those electric scooters, and yeah, I mean, so they're quiet. They don't really make any sound. Um, so if you have half of your cars and scooters on the road are silent, that makes
A
a difference for
huge
sure.
difference.
And I think in some areas, like you said, in Delhi, a lot of honking going on. Uh, some areas honk a bit, but I think in parts of China, I don't think they like. I don't think that's okay to do all the time. Not that much. You can get away with a little bit of honking, but to just lay on your horn and make too much noise. I don't think it's cool. There's something about it, just not it's just maybe not part of the culture or something, but,
Yep, I
uh,
bet.
more accepted in other places.
And I love Delhi. I don't want it, nothing against it. I would go back there today if I could, you know. Um, so it was just different, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel, here's a question for you. Do you feel like when you're somewhere like Delhi or Rajasthan, or you go travel to some other place versus being in Indianapolis or wherever you're at, wherever you're living here in the US, do you think there's something that lifts lifts off like some veil, some skin sheds or something like that, and then suddenly you're like you feel more free to be more social or just more outgoing, that kind of thing. You feel like that at all?
That's a good. I don't know. You know, I was drinking at that time, so I was very social. And then I met this photographer. Ended up, I was on a like a tour, and this photographer ended up joining up with us. And I swear, like, if we would have went to school together, like we would have been best friends. Like he was just aw. We just connected, and
Mhm,
so him and I just so I did I feel felt more maybe I just felt easier to meet people and stuff, and it definitely I'm trying to think. It definitely opens my eyes, you know, to I mostly in India it's a mix because the poverty is very hard, you know. There's
yeah,
just seeing like a family in a I remember in a median, and just they looked I mean they looked hungry, you know. It was hard, that stuff, but generally I thought I just had this feeling that, you know, it was really similar to America. There's a huge amount of resources, people slinging and hustling, you know, and just
mhm,
um families. That's every time I've traveled, mostly I've been very surprised at just how similar, you know, the food is different and culture, a lot of culture, but I mean, really, the people are, you know, have basically, this is so stupid, but obvious, but you know, we have the same needs: family, food, shelter, you
mhm.
know, so, um, yeah. What about you? Like if you go to China versus a city in America, would do you have an easier time kind of reaching out to people or
Uh, I don't think so. No, I still think I have uh, as far as social things, I'm similar. I would still have a tendency to be like, be in my comfort zone and in my apartment somewhere, but definitely like going out and walking around and kind of exploring around. I'm that way, maybe anywhere. I like to have my quiet time and my coffee in a in a nice place with a nice view.
yeah.
I like to go walk around and explore, but socially, uh, I definitely you could think of all my travels around the world that I've done. I don't know that there's really any that I've done where I've sought like try to make friends or go go try to be social in that sphere. Not really. Uh, I think what's different for me would be the sense of I kind of like there's a I feel like here I feel like there's a weight. There's a certain weight that goes on that's on my shoulders. Elsewhere, I don't feel it. It's like it's lifted. And and because of that, I feel a bit more free and a bit more um like there's more opportunity, like there's more like the world opens up more. I see things in a different light. My perspective changes about how the way the world is. Um, yeah, and I feel like some of the burdens I feel here, I don't feel, definitely don't feel elsewhere. And so that would be the difference for me. Not a social aspect, but more uh, the burdens I might feel here are just gone elsewhere. And a sense of newness, maybe because you're in a different place. Like you could see, like maybe you could see the opportunities more than somebody that's been there a lot, even though you're brand new to the area and you don't know the system and you don't know, you don't really know anything about the area, but you might see something other people don't just because you have a different outside perspective.
Yeah, and you don't know the because people that have grown up there know the barriers,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Here's the
know.
box. Here's the
Yeah,
box, and here's what's inside the box.
and you don't see that yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wonder because looking up at the night sky does that for me sometimes,
Mm.
where
Yeah.
it provides this perspective that all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know, the day to day stuff just doesn't mean as much. It's
Mhm.
important, but it's not. Yeah, just I think it gives you perspective, and then
Yeah.
traveling does that because it takes you out of that your routine or your day to day,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Yeah.
important.
I don't think the social aspect, I think that's an interesting point because I do know people that uh I do know people that are social in their countries and social elsewhere. It's just like their nature.
Yeah,
Uh, but for somebody like me, uh, I definitely have a tendency to kind of I can go get a little dose of social something if I'm out exploring and traveling and that sort of thing. But I I wouldn't be at home base and then go seek it out necessarily.
yeah.
But it's such a weird thing, kind of, because some most people are pretty social. People by nature are generally social.
Yeah, I think so. I had a cool experience one day. I didn't really want to do the whole like tour thing, and so I just stayed at the hotel and I just
Yeah.
went walking, and I was sitting there, and this this guy came up to me, and he spoke Hindi, or like
Mhm.
I don't know what language it was, but anyway, so he called me up, and I ended up, he was like, oh, come sit on my tractor, pretty much. And so we're hanging out. Oh, and another thing is, like, in India, in that area, from like noon to 5 or whatever, everybody sits under trees. The
Oh,
only, like, most, because they're like, get out of the, it's so hot.
yeah.
And I mean, obviously people were doing things, but most of the people just were like, just got out of the heat. So then I ended up sitting under the tree with these guys, and then this guy was like, somehow the word he knew was panther, and he took
Mm.
me panther hunting, which wasn't with guns. It was just looking for it. So I got on the back of this bike, and he just like took me to this like part of the national forest, and then we met a couple. They had to have been like rain park, the equivalent of a park ranger or something, or somebody
Yeah.
working in the park, and they just took me to these watering holes and like showed me tracks. We saw some cool like antelope type things, and man, um anyway, but that was, I wasn't even looking for, I was just sitting against the wall and just
Yeah.
hanging out, and they just came over, and it was so fun. I got to drive his tractor a little bit. I remember that. And then
Uh,
I just hopped on a bike. And at one point, I was nervous because I was like, I don't know where this guy's taking me. And so I
yeah.
remember I had a camera, and I was just taking as many pictures like on route, hoping that like okay, if I get like killed or something, somebody might find my camera and might be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I recognize that place." But no, the guy was so cool. And then he brought me back to the hotel, and I was like, um, in India, a lot of people need money, and so they ask for it.
Yeah.
And so I like tried to pay this guy, and he was like, "No, what are you doing?" He was like, "I don't need money." Again, I he didn't speak English, but he was like, kind of like, "No, we just he just took me around." So that
Yeah.
was really fun.
Oh, that's great.
So I think maybe part of it too is just being open to that.
Mhm.
If I'm in that place where I'm just open to talk to people, I
Mhm.
think yeah, the world just does it, makes it happen.
Yeah.
And I do. So I also feel like a lot of times cities are a city. I want to talk to the people, or I think that is important for me, but not,
Mhm.
but I'd rather do it more one on one than just like, just go party. In
Mhm.
India, I didn't want to go to bars, but I was so glad to just, you know, gosh, I can't remember. It was like Ahmed or fuck, I can't remember his name, but he was just so cool. That guy that we ended up hanging out with,
Mhm.
and then yeah, I just felt really lucky for that. But I think you just open up when you're in a new environment, and it just changes your perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've really liked about traveling is just the different perspective that you can have on the world and quickly. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's not like it needs to develop for a month or two. It's like, it's something that happens, at least for me, pretty fast. Um, and that's that's one of the great things about it. It's like, man, I feel, and if you grow up in the same place, you're gonna have. I mean, I think people. This isn't a bad thing about people. It's just I think it's a natural tendency to like know your environment, know what the box is, and based on your learned experience and what you've read and what you've been taught, you see the world in a certain frame, and moving out of that frame and getting some different perspective, man, it just feels like it makes the world feel a little bit more new and exciting.
yeah, it's important for me for sure. But I definitely know people that just don't. It's not for them, and
Oh yeah.
it's it makes them anxious, and so. But I also believe just, you know travel to see the world, but if you want to understand that universe, it's like inside us too.
Yeah.
And so, and like, even with that tree that I was talking about earlier, I learned so much about the world from one tree
Hmm.
in life. So, yeah, it's definitely not necessary for everybody.
Yeah, some people are I got some family members like that. They'll probably never go travel go put themselves in downtown Manila or something like that. They're Jakarta and they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, it would be like I'm going to go check these things out, and I want to go see this historical site, or I want to go see the things at this museum. And so you just it's part of the process of getting there. But I'll
Yep.
tell you what, there are definitely times where you're uh, you're en route to somewhere, and it's kind of uncomfortable, and you're just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
But then the next day you're like in some amazing place, and you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing here.
It's worth it.
Yeah, but sometimes like the stepping stones to get there can be a little uncomfortable because it's so different than what you just came from. Like if you're coming from East Sound, Washington, Orcas Island, and then you're suddenly in the thralls of Manila or Jakarta or Bangkok, it's like, wow.
It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
Did your what is it? Is that Dota? The astrology?
Oh, yeah, the
Boat,
Chinese astrology.
Boda,
Bots,
Bot,
bots.
Bada. Did that say anything about you traveling?
You know, I don't know. I don't know that I've seen that actually.
I wonder what it would say, like if that would give you insight to why you need to travel.
That's a very good that's a very good thought. I don't think I've seen that, but it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that I haven't really inquired about it.
Yeah, you haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
Because I wonder what it would say about that. Because if you need water, the first thing I think of water is it's never well, obviously, unless it does stop, but like it's flowing, and it's constantly moving, and so I
Yeah.
wonder if that's sort of how you connect to this world too. Like if you're earth element that doesn't move, but you need some of your like this is how you I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you need that flow
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah. Like you can't be stagnant. You can't be stuck in one place.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's probably part of it. And like sometimes you see the personality types, or you'd look at a personality type, and I'm not sure how this relates to your birth astrology or Badza, but like the personality types, like you could be the adventurer, you could be the explorer, you could be the the architect, or those kind of archetypes in personality. Um, I definitely think mine is like one of these kind of adventurer, explorer types, and definitely not, uh, definitely not the more stable thing that I desire sometimes.
Yeah, the Hobbit versus the would it be Gandalf or who would be a good good comparison? But the Hobbit wants to be in its like nice little home and
Hmm.
not move. And yeah, and these attributes obviously like we have all of them in us, right? Just some
Yeah,
are more dominant. Some attributes are more dominant.
I feel like I'm the Hobbit. Like I want to have a nice little Hobbit home, and then I want to go off on some adventure, and then I want to come
Yeah,
back to my Hobbit home,
for
relax for a
sure.
little while, and then go back, do another adventure.
That's what I
But
like too. I really do like having a home to come back to.
yeah, yeah,
But I think
yeah.
that's how I got through living in Iowa is
Mhm.
it was such a good home base because it was so inexpensive to live there,
Yeah,
and then I could just leave and go in all these different directions,
yeah.
but have a nice quiet place to come home to.
Did you have a house in Iowa
Yeah.
for a while? Okay.
And I was right by South Ravine. I was on South Coral, like close to um Lincoln. Is it Lincoln Way that goes in front of South
Yeah,
Ravine Park? So
yeah.
South Coral and Lincoln Way. I was about a block off there.
Oh, wow. That's a good spot.
It was really nice.
I gotta say, as I get older, and I've been feeling this for probably the last 7 years or so, going back to where we grew up, man, it's just like, man, if I could find a a place back there, I wouldn't mind moving there.
It's so quiet. I
Yeah,
know. I would love a little spot there, but also since the Northwest is so new to me, I also think about getting like a little spot around here, just in the woods,
yeah,
like a little that I could just go to on the weekends.
yeah,
It would be nice.
man. Well, I was gonna say something else about the Batu and the
Yeah,
traveling. Um, I think I need to look that up and figure it out. And if you want some tips on looking yours up, if you know your birthday and birth time, and birthplace. That's the kind of the three elements of info that you need. But
I'm gonna look for the birth time. It might be. Would you feel comfortable? Maybe one of these you should just walk me through it.
sure,
Would you feel? Because I would be interested to see what that's like
yeah,
in the
yeah.
process you go through.
Well, it's yeah, we could do that on one of these shows or or anytime.
We should
I
do
think
it.
it's just super enlightening to have that kind of info. Because there's definitely things that are hidden, the things you don't know about, and
Yeah.
you're gonna maybe be pretty surprised. And then there's other things that are like, oh yeah, that's spot on. And some things are uh, for me, it's even things that I might even be mulling over currently and thinking about currently and dealing with currently. That's like, oh, it shed some light on this current issue I'm dealing with. So I think
So
it'd be fun.
I do too. I would love that. Is there any connection then to the I Ching in this, or is it a complete?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Because I've tried to you know look into the I Ching, and I think some of it's lost to me. I don't have the right like I think it takes uh someone that understands that text
Yeah.
to extrapolate out, you know, kind of a personal meaning. But because it says
And it would be,
64 hexagrams, I think, or something.
yeah, I think it's a different system,
Yeah.
really, but um, and I'm not an expert on the Baza and astrology in any way whatsoever, but at least you can put your details into like some AI or something. They're really good.
Okay.
It'll spit out your details and give you some really good insights. And so at least we could do that. But and then we could kind of wade through some meaning of that together. And I'm sure people that are like advanced in this sort of thing might have some pretty different ideas compared to me, but at least we could have our own personal opinions about it.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to
Whether
do
whether they're right or wrong, who knows? But
that. Who knows?
yeah.
All right, Monty. I kind of feel like we're at a good spot.
Okay. Well, let's let's connect next week on the Colin and Monte show, and we can go through some of the Baza on yours if you want, and
Yeah,
then
let's do it. Let's plan if you feel like doing that.
I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
I do too. All right, let's do it. All right. Well, have a great week,
All right.
and I will talk to you soon.
All right. See you, Colin.